and he re-ups with the Thunder. So, as much as Kawhi is saying he wants to go to LA right now and all that all can change in a full year. I mean, Toronto's a first-class organization. It's a wonderful city. And so, there's a great chance that Kawhi gets there and really likes it and then decides to re-up long term there. If that happens, it's a win for Toronto as well because he is a better player than DeMar DeRozan. So I think it's a worthwhile gamble, even though they do give up really a face of the franchise type of a player. That's going to be hard for them to kind of duplicate because Kawhi is not the outgoing kiss babies and shake hands type of a player like that DeMar DeRozan became in Toronto. But if they win a bunch of games and advance and get to the NBA Finals, all will be worthwhile. So we'll see how this goes, but I can see the logic on both sides, and I see why for Pop too. He didn't want to put up with Kawhi's drama anymore, and you get a very good person and player in DeMar DeRozan to kind of keep this thing going and not have to completely blow up and rebuild for the Spurs as well.
Let's get to the Jimmy Butler intrigue and how the national media handled it. Do want to thank, and by the way, if you'd like to sponsor this program, JSOUHAN47@gmail.com, JSouhan47@gmail.com. Send me an email. We can always work with you. Do want to thank one of our current sponsors, SodaStickCO.com or SodaStick.com. Gets you to the same place. They're always doing innovative new stuff. So go to their website, check out their new stuff. One of the newer things they have right now, they have kind of back window decals with all their Wolf State, Wild North, Skull, Minnesota decals. So they have, basketball, football, hockey themed decals and logos that they have designed for their business. Again, if you go to their website, they always have lots of now. And the other cool thing is follow them on Twitter. SodaStick on Twitter. They are always kind of asking their clients, their fans, basically, what they would like next. So they're looking at some flags now. You can be interactive with this organization. You can always find out, you can always contribute to what they want to do. They also have some new stuff for their 2018 SodaStick Hockey Classic. They've lined up a bunch of sponsors. The tournament details are also at their website. It's going to be Friday, September 28th and Saturday, September 29th at Schwann Super Rink in Blaine. My God, Blaine's just the center of the sports university state, John.
Absolutely.
When wasn't it, I guess is the question. And so if you go to the website and go to 2018 Hockey Classic, you can click on all the details there. It looks like a blast. And again, they've lined up a bunch of sponsors to help with that. They've done a great job with their business. I'm kind of envious just of how well they run their thing. Sodastick.com. Check them out, and check them out on Twitter as well. So the Jimmy Butler quote unquote news breaks that he's going to turn down the 4-year offer that was made to him. I think savvy Wolves fans knew that, of course, he was always going to turn this down. And the reaction nationally was to combine the palace intrigue, who hates who in that locker room, who hates Tibbs in that locker room, with Jimmy Butler turning this down and turning it into, Jimmy Butler hates Minnesota or whatever. No matter what he thinks, he was always going to turn this deal down.
Yeah, he could have been the happiest player with any franchise that's ever been, and he would have turned this down and tried to get to next summer where he can make either like $70 million more from the Timberwolves or another $30 or $40 million more from another team. And so financially, it just made sense for him to do this. And so it's not sort of the next sign that there's trouble. But we also can't discount that there has been a sort of constant drumbeat from him and from his side that he's not sold on this yet, that there's got to be a lot more. He's got to see more from the youngsters. They have to make big strides in from a competitive standpoint to keep him around. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say, look away, and there's nothing to see here, because I do think that this is a major season coming up for the Timberwolves in terms of trying to convince Jimmy Butler that this is the place to be, and really for Jimmy Butler to show that, yeah, this is the guy that the Timberwolves should lavish $190 million on and hitch their wagon to. And so there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding Jimmy's future here and what is going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months. But the act of him alone saying, no, I'm not going to take the 4-year, $110 million extension in and of itself has absolutely nothing to do with any of that. It's just a procedural matter that is rooted solely in finances rather than his happiness or unhappiness with his current situation.
Let's get to some Twitter questions. We got a couple good ones, and let's also talk about the rookies and just your overall impression of them after seeing them in Summer League. This last Saturday, we did a couple live shows, the Viking show and the Shaver and Jordan Taylor show. By the way, if you're a basketball fan, check out that show. They're calling it Dibble Dabble, and they have an explanation for that. You have to listen to the show to get the explanation. But, Ryan Shaver and Jordan Taylor, the great Minneapolis basketball player who also starred at Wisconsin, has played overseas. They're old friends. They do a hoot of a show. God, I sound old when I say hoot. They do a
well, you are old.
I am old. That's a good point. I'm allowed to sound old.
That's right.
I am old. They do a really fun show. They're cool guys. It's great to have Jordan on the network. Check out their show as well. But we did a show at Tony Hoaglund's State Farm office up in Champlin. Tony's a great guy. And one of the cool things we did, we sat around and kind of talked about how our careers started. And I started off, my first job was $6 an hour, no benefits, 40 hours paid, and then whatever hours I wanted to spend writing were just free. And Tony had the same experience starting his business. He basically started it reinvesting every dollar he made back in the business, just had to build it up from the ground floor. It's not an easy road, and it's just really cool to work with people like Tony who have made something themselves in that way and want to engage with fans and this network. The cool thing about this network is this ain't run by a hedge fund. We don't have investors. It's just us doing stuff we love and working with some sponsors we really love, and Tony's one of them.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
So give me a quick recap on what you thought of Okogie and Bates-Diop during the Summer League, or just your thoughts on them in general.
Yeah, I think, early returns are promising. Now, you always have to take Summer League with a grain of salt. I mean, we all know that, Johnny Flynn and Randy Foye and several others were superstars in Summer League and never panned out in the NBA. But it was less kind of them looking at them and saying, wow, they're going to be stars in this league. It was more of you could see what they bring to the table that Tom Thibodeau likes, and it's a defensive versatility. It's a tenaciousness and a hustle. It's creating turnovers. I thought Okogie particularly, even though he's only 6'4", he has a 7-foot wingspan, and you saw it in Vegas, he blocked a ton of shots right at the rim. So either he would kind of get beat and then catch up and wipe it away at the rim, or he'd come on help defense and help out for someone and turn a layup into nothing. And what this Wolves team, especially that second unit, has needed is that kind of teeth, that kind of intensity. And so I can see him fitting in and playing 18 or 20 minutes, a night, just doing that. And Bates-Diop, it looked very polished from an offensive standpoint, and not necessarily a guy, like Okogie is incredibly athletic. He's really fast. He jumps out of the gym. He's built like a linebacker. Bates-Diop is much less of a specimen from just a physical standpoint, and just
he's crafty.
He's crafty is what he is, yeah. And we usually use that for white guys who are lefties,
and that's why I try not to use it for white guys, and I try to use it when it applies properly to somebody who isn't white.
Exactly, yeah. He's crafty. He gets He gets to his spots. Neither of them shot the ball very well, but you can just see kind of the feel of the game is pretty good there. He's 22 years old, so he's a little more seasoned that way. And so and it wasn't just me. Like I swear, it was every executive or scout or coach who I ran into from another team just unprompted would say, hey, I think the Wolves had a pretty good draft. And so what they need when they were not able to go out and get a bunch of free agent help is you need to be able to hit on those draft picks, and you need to be able to get guys who can contribute early and maybe even grow into something bigger down the road for when the tax bill comes. Maybe it's time, then you can turn things over to one or two of those guys in later years. And so early returns are promising. You see some things that they like, and obviously it's going to be a whole different game when the lights come on in October, but I thought encouraging at the start to say, okay, I see some of the tools here. You can see what Tibbs likes about these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably going to bother you, but I had the same assessment, and I know that doesn't.
Yeah,
very comfortable.
That's not. I'm going to rethink things.
Exactly.
Now. They're definitely not going to be able to play. They're going to be both
You know what?
Bus.
It's not that you would like to see these players in Timberwolves uniforms, it's that you wouldn't like to see players.
That's right. That's what I meant to say.
It's just sometimes we just say the exact opposite of what we mean.
We'll replay this tape a year from now and revise it a little bit if need be.
Well, we'll have to borrow the tape from the KGB, but after we get the tape from the KGB, I'm sure it'll work out just fine. From Twitter questions from Tim Snell: can you provide a convincing argument that the Wolves can win an NBA title before the end of Cat's next contract?
Assuming that he signs the 5-year deal that's in front of him, which all indications are that he will eventually. You can provide a convincing argument in year 4 or 5 of that is that the Warriors have splintered apart because of salary cap ramifications and players just wanting to go and kind of strike out on their own and get their own money and have their own teams. LeBron James is by that point 38, 37. So not kind of presumably not the dominant force that he is right now. I mean, I know we're all waiting for the step back that hasn't come yet, but presumably he's taken a step back, and maybe the Lakers have trouble finding that big star. Maybe Kawhi stays in Toronto, and so so they kind of fall by the wayside. Chris Paul is older now too, so Houston has a window of another 2 years or so to try and make a run there before he takes a step back. And so if Cat kind of emerges as the real first-team All-NBA centerpiece that he could be, that he has the talent and the skills to be, then that's a pretty good start. And if Wiggins, if the light bulb comes on and Wiggins emerges as the number 1 overall pick, consistent all-star caliber player, then you might have something. Now, again, like we say that when you're talking about winning a championship, like that's really hard to do, especially in the NBA. Not many franchises do it. So I wouldn't bet on them winning a title in the next 5 years, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility given where other franchises are at in the Western Conference. I think going forward, you're looking at Utah long term. You're looking at maybe the Lakers if they're able to put things together long term. But I think the OKC thing is a little shaky. I mean, the Spurs are going to recalibrate at some point. So there's going to be an opening. It's going to be whether it's Minnesota or Denver or the Lakers or Utah or Dallas or some other team that is the one that emerges. But it's going to take a while here. I mean, the Warriors aren't going anywhere in the next couple of years. Neither is Houston, and so but there is a path to it. It's just a lot of things are going to have to go right.
A couple more Twitter questions, by the way. We do recommend when you listen to the show, downloading if you can. Some people are better at it than others. I'm still not very good at it, but when I listen to it in certain formats, it's pretty easy to just click on download instead of listen. It's a better listening experience. You won't be interrupted no matter what your Wi-Fi situation is, and it helps our business as we negotiate with some national companies. So if you can, download before you listen. From Brendan on Twitter, does anybody know what the feud between Cat and Butler is?
Well, yeah, I think we have a pretty good idea. I mean, Butler's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think yet that